All right, boys and girls, so just as a reminder, in our whole group lesson this morning, we talked about the elements of poetry that you noted and you recognized in the poem The Climb that you read yesterday. You even posted some of those elements of poetry in that discussion board post. So that's what this Post-it note right here includes that you see on the side of the screen. Remember, those were just some of the elements of poetry that Mrs. Body noted as I was reading through this poem, Sing to Me. However, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to worry so much about the elements of poetry. We are going to now read through this poem stanza by stanza, and I am going to model for you how to determine and focus more on the meaning of the poem. So when we look at stanza 1, we're going to read this and break it apart and talk about it as we go. Sing to me. The cool white keys stretched for miles. How would my hands pull and sort through the notes, blending them into music? So you notice I read the entire stanza. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to think about it, just like we would if we were reading a paragraph of text. Well, when the author says the cool white keys, I know that the cool white keys are referring to playing a piano. I'm using my background knowledge to determine that that's what our poet is referring to. Now, when the poet says, how would my hands pull and sort through the notes, blending them into music? So our character is playing a piano and wonders how he will turn his playing into music. Let's continue. That's stanza 1. You notice how I skipped a couple lines? Now I'm going to look at stanza 2. I practiced and practiced all day, my fingers reaching for a melody that hung, dangling like an apple just out of reach. So now the boy is practicing. However, he is struggling to play a melody. A melody meaning a tune or a song. He even compares it using that simile. It hung dangling like an apple just out of reach. That simile gives me just a little bit more detail there so that I'm able to create a visual in my mind as I'm reading that stanza. I can almost imagine an apple or reaching really just for anything, and it's just too far, like I can't get it. I'm almost there, but not quite. I could even add that here. He is almost there, but not quite. I can't do this. I can't do this. So again, that repetition, I can't do this, meaning he is starting to give up. Let's go on to the next stanza. The day ground on, notes leaping hopefully into the air, hovering briefly only to crash. An awkward jangle, a tangle of noise before slowly fading away. In this stanza, I learned that he continues to practice, but the notes are not right. Meaning, when he says here they're leaping hopefully into the air, he's trying. However, what happens next? They hover briefly, meaning he's kind of comparing them to as if they were almost like flying, and they're there, but then they crash. He compares the notes to, I would even say like birds flying, or he compares not the notes to an object that can fly, but only crashes. Let's look at the next stanza. My mom found me, forehead on the keys. She asked, would you like some help? It took months for my hands to do what I wanted. She sat down on the bench, her slender fingers plucking notes from the air. Mom sees that her son is struggling and offers to help. She knows how to play. Mom, I know that Mom knows how to play because it says here it took me months for my hands to do what I wanted. I can do this. I can do this. The boy is feeling more confident that he can learn to play. In the last stanza, stanza 7, she sat with me every night that week, working my fingers until their efforts made the keys sing to me too. Mom helps her son practice daily until he is able to play. Today, what I would like for you to do is the same process that we just did together in this video. You will go into Tuesday's folder. That's where we are now. In Tuesday's folder, you will find a copy of the poem that I just read, Sing to Me, along with this video. You will also find a copy of The Climb. You're going to open the poem The Climb and reread it. As you're reading, I would like for you to think, what is this poem about? What is the meaning of this poem? You can break it apart one stanza at a time, just like I did, and then you're going to respond to this discussion post. Please let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to read your discussion post and see what you think about The Climb.